Hello and welcome to this preview of the College Baseball Series Weekend 3. I'm your host, Michael Patrick Rooney, be joined by Oregon State skipper Mitch Canham in a second. Want to remind everyone that Globe Life Field is kicking off the 2025 season with the College Baseball Series. Again, this is February 28th to March 2nd. Don't miss your chance to see an incredible field. You've got Ohio State, Oregon State, the Beavs. You got Baylor, you've got Auburn, all battling it out at the home of the Texas Rangers. Home plate reserve premium tickets and general admission tickets are on sale now. You can get yours today at globelifefield.com/college baseball. Again, globelifefield.com/college baseball. Remember to use the code D1 baseball to get $5 off of single day general admission tickets or $15 off a general admission tournament pass. Mitch, so the season is coming at us fast and furious. What's your favorite part of the first few weeks of the season when you're playing, a lot of times teams that you don't normally get to play?
Well, yeah, I enjoy the travel. We've always gone down to Surprise. It has been a tremendous event for us each and every year. Did it when I was here as a student athlete as well. The city Surprise takes care of us extremely well. The fans show out. We end up getting, 3,500, 4,000 people showing up down there. So it's always fun to see our newcomers to Oregon State walk out of the dugout and then turn around and say, oh my gosh, look at all these fans here to see us right out the chute week one when we're not even in Corvallis. But the other part is the tremendous competition, right? I mean, we're going out there and, from week one, Indiana, Xavier, UNLV, hitting up Houston in a midweek while we're staying on the road, and then Virginia, Oklahoma, Minnesota, the first 2 weeks of the year right out the chute, and then getting to go to a big league stadium in Arlington and then playing against Auburn, Baylor, and Ohio State. People look at it and say, what are you doing? And I said, we want to play great competition. We build camaraderie when we're on the road. I want adversity. I want difficult situations for our guys. We all do, because that's how we grow. And I think that, that setting the tone right out the chute after all this travel. These guys have been up here competing against each other for some time now. So it's time to get out there and start, trying to beat up on somebody else.
Hey, let's talk about the big league ballpark part of it. Obviously, you had a great run in professional baseball. And I remember being these players' age, and like the thought of playing in a big league stadium felt like I think my heart would have stopped. I don't know if it's quite that way for today's player, but like this tournament, like this is going to be a regional atmosphere, 4 teams, and one team's going to win it. It's a big league ballpark. What does that part do? Like just the big league atmosphere, the big league ballpark do?
Yeah, it's whether it's dimensions, just the seats, the fans that are going to be there, putting yourself in the arena that each of these guys want to be able to play in someday, I think is important. Going down to the spring training complex, right out the chute, week one, and playing in their spring training like big league complex is huge. And then going to a AAA ballpark as well. It's kind of like you're building your way up to the big leagues, right?
Nice.
Starting spring training, go hit the AAA ballpark up, and then boom, you get called up to the big league stadium. The experience that we had last year was phenomenal. The operations there handled extremely well. Getting used to the acoustics in a covered stadium as well. Just for the guys to put themselves in that environment is huge. No different than going to the World Series. If you've never been there, you don't really know how to handle the atmosphere, the travel, the pressure that people associate with that. But once you've been there, we did it 5, 6, and 7, and by 2007, it just felt like another home game for us. And so the more we can put ourselves in these kind of heightened, noise environments, it's going to help our guys in the long haul, especially when we want to be playing in regionals, supers, and the College World Series.
Love that. Hey, let's fast forward to this year's team. So, you guys are on a really good 4-year run. You've been in 2 super regionals, you've hosted regionals, you've been to regional finals. You had the first player picked in the draft last year in Travis Bazzana. Obviously he did not turn that down. He signed, which is what happens.
Sure.
But let's talk about this team. So one of the guys that's top of mind for me is Trent Caraway. He didn't get he got hurt last year, but man, in the 17 games he played, he was every bit of the super hyped star caliber player that he was made out to be. What have you seen in him year over year, and what are the fans going to see in Trent Carraway?
Just his competitive nature is like few people have that. How he goes out when he showed up as a freshman, and we're running, bunt defense. He's busting butt home, calling the ball, and it's almost like you had to learn to pull the reins on him a little bit. You never had to motivate him, push him to give his best effort. It doesn't matter. I think that guy could get zero sleep for 2 days in a row, and he's going to show up with the same intensity as if he just got 12 hours of sleep. He loves the game. He loves to compete. He's obviously got a strong knack for bat to ball skills, got some tremendous thump in there too. And even when he did get banged up, he was a great teammate to all the guys around him. And he even saw a great opportunity for himself to get better on defense. And having to come back from a broken finger, you got to learn to get the feel of the ball again. But that was something for him. I thought, it's neither bad nor good. It is what you make it to be. And I thought he did a tremendous job being a professional when the ball wasn't in his hand or the bat wasn't in his hand, just how he went about that recovery process, and it's made him better for it.
Love that. So one of the big University of Washington had a coaching change last year, and a lot of times when that happens, there are players will end up in the transfer portal. That just kind of status quo in college sports. So one of the premier transfers last summer was Iva Arquette, who ended up signing with the Beavs, and potentially is going to be your shortstop. I feel like people know that he put up really good numbers last year, but I don't feel like people really know Iva the player very well yet. Like, I perceive him to be a very physical, like a more physical shortstop than what you're used to seeing, but also a shortstop who can be a middle of the order bat. How would you describe Iva as kind of like what are his separators?
I don't know if we're going to push him down to the middle of the order. I think he's going to be right up there at the top in the
Oh,
first
love that.
couple, for sure. I mean, you want your best hitters to get as many at bats as possible, and as you work your way down the lineup at the end of the season, you're like, dang, he got how many less at bats than he could have had. Um, but the character is off the charts, like who he is. And just yesterday we had this. After we have practice, we always break down video, and we'll sit there and watch. We have the aware system, and so we'll look at high home, and we'll look at each of the angles and see how we were moving during our fundamentals during batting practice, making sure that we're efficient. And there was one instance that Coach Wong had chopped up and sent out to our coaching staff, talking about a leader. And it was after one of our freshmen was on the mound. We were scrimmaging and we were running through bunt defense. And after the inning was over, Iva goes over and talks to our freshman pitcher and our pitching coach, Dorman. And he's just, interacting, making sure that we all understand what's supposed to happen, how to properly hold the runners. And then he gives them a tap on the butt and says, and goes about his way. But it was awesome to see when, he's probably up here soon that next inning, just coming off defense, but he's taking time to pour into his teammates and encourage them, because it didn't go exactly smooth that half for our young guy, but he's got tremendous stuff. He's going to be fine. And so it's cool to see the leadership, the want to win, the want to develop. And yes, he can really run, and he can really throw, and he can really pick it, and he's got tremendous thump. But freshman year he was banged up. Last year he still had some nagging stuff going on. And so, this year to see him like come into a new environment and to build the relationships that he has, and, continue to smash balls into our parking lot off our new hitting facility. He's obviously a tremendous talent. I don't even think people really know how good he is yet.
That's awesome. So one of my favorite players on your roster, I'm not going to ask you about him, but I just want to say his name because I feel like he always is the guy that's undersung, as Eric Segura, your Sunday guy, just like, makes every start as a freshman, throws a bunch of innings, kind of a left-hander with arm talent and feel for the baseball. But I think in fairness to the fans, like one of the names they're going to want to know about is Dax Whitney. This is a 6'5" right-hander from Idaho that, the fastball can tick up into the upper 90s. And it just like, we don't get to see that type of arm talent in college baseball every day because there's a draft, right? And that guy usually signs. So tell us about Dax Whitney. What have you seen from him so far in his freshman season?
Yeah, I could sit there and talk about him as well, his off the field stuff for a long time with you. But specifically with the on field stuff, you don't see very many freshmen come in with that kind of, um, a makeup and humility, even though he knows how good he is, um, and to be a polished four pitch guy, to be going, I mean, just in the bullpens going, 96, 97 consistently, and then wanting to sharpen his tools as well. Get the right shape with his curveball. Developing a changeup, something that actually has a little bit more wiggle to it, and working with the plus and minus of the speed change. Uh, his bullpen sessions are that of a professional. How he is competitive on the mound, even in our scrimmages, is really impressive to watch because he gets fired up, and you want to see that out of a guy at any time, especially one of your weekend starters, which we are planning on making that happen. But he's a guy that also physically, you don't see a lot of freshmen like Segura, for example. As the year went on last year, it's a lot for a freshman to get that many starts and to maintain velocity and continue to be polished towards the end. And Eric kind of started to trickle down a little bit as the season went on. Which was great for Eric because then he learned I need to really take care of my body and get ahead of this so I can thrive through this season, especially in those big, meaningful games at the end. And Dax's body's already in a great spot. He's put on at least a dozen pounds since showing up in the fall. He's eating right. He's hanging around the right guys, which they're all the right guys, to be honest with you. But,
Sure.
for him to show up, I thought everyone knew what he had turned down in order to be here. And that instantly brought a lot of respect from his peers here about how much he loves this place and how much he's willing to fight for it. But even with all that hype, he is extremely humble. He can be funny at times too, and mess around with the guys. So I think he's a great addition to the clubhouse. And if he's already doing this now, we've already talked about this actually last week. Where do you see yourself developing from here? Making sure that there's a plan. What do you see happening next year? What do you see happening the following year? To make sure that when your time here is done, that you've accomplished all your goals, help others around you fulfill those goals, and are ready to go off and have a very long, successful big league career. So we need to make sure that, we continue to push him every way possible, and he wants that too, which is great. And just, for every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch, right? And so we got to make sure that we're not drifting away from our plan of development for him and for his teammates. And so he's a motivator, man. If he's doing this right now as a freshman and not even pitched in a real game yet, the sky is the limit for him.
Can't wait to watch him. Mitch, really appreciate the time. Have fun in Arlington, and best of luck to the Beavs this year.
Ruins, thank you. And the entire staff says hi, and they want to make sure that they got a shout out to you on there. But you're the man. Thanks for having me on.
You got it.